Hi everyone, I'm so pleased to join you for our annual training summit. There's no question that we've made a lot of progress over the last few years in strengthening our training programs.
What did we learn as we went through this that we can bring forward to improve training and the delivery of training long-term over the next 2 years, 5 years, and on out?
We can't continue to do business the way we've done it in the past. The pandemic actually showed us that there is a need for change. And I think bigger than that is we have an opportunity to shape what that change looks like. We're going to be looking for your ideas. We want to be creative and innovative and figure out how do we do business in the future.
As I think back over the progress you've made over the last year, when there was no other choice but to make progress in modernizing our training, I'm proud of what you were able to accomplish.
So the initial course virtualizations, as was discussed, kind of came out of the necessity to get training to the field. We actually had 2 pilot offerings that kind of kicked everything off. When the Academy was shut down last March, we actually had 2 courses, the ILS concepts and the NAV concepts, that were 2 weeks into the concept course. So 2 weeks out of 5. Those were actually identified as opportunities for us to potentially offer them via Zoom. Those 3 courses actually offered that baseline to say, hey, look, we can do this. It's not what's normal, but we can do it. What we then did is we actually got together as a group, all the AMA instructors, all the requirements leads within AJI, the instructional design leads, and all of the section managers. We got together in August of 2020, and we evaluated all of the instructor-led training classes.
We started off looking at 100 and something odd courses to see which would be the best fit. And out of that, and if you can imagine, narrowing down that team, the work group itself, landed to around 68 courses that they deemed it would fit into the different mode.
We spent lots of time reviewing each and every course, looking at especially the high voltage and heavy labs, and the need that it would take to convert those courses, along with also the courses we were already teaching here at the Academy, and the effort that it would take to convert some of those.
When we talk about incorporating more technologies, that's not just the remote in capability. It's also other things like making it so we have more cameras in the classrooms so that the instructor can have that flexibility of being able to move around and point to things, and just those types of aspects. Another thing that we actually did was we looked at, hey, since these are 100% virtual, is there an opportunity to increase the class size since we're not having to go down to the Academy with these? So I know that there were a couple classes where we did increase the class size. There people are constantly looking at the feedback, and we're in these discussions to determine what works. That way we can continue to offer the best product to the field. There are 8 that we currently have in development, and we're looking to get done by the end of the fiscal year. What's the next step? Rather than just virtualization, because while we were working virtualizations, we also had developments running in the background at the same time, the regular business. The big part is, what does this mean to the field? So the big impact is when you have a new hire, they can go and they can take all of their training as they seem fit. You don't have to wait for a seat to open up, so they can immediately progress from the math refresher, the electronics, and then straight into the concept courses. So we'll get the new hires to their first equipment class much faster. All right. And then these are some of the other significant developments that we were able to accomplish this year.
And finally, all of the efforts that was put together coming out of the A5, all of the things that Stephanie mentioned earlier, and everybody really working hard, the culmination of all of that came together in November, and we added virtual training to our modality. We know right now we're still in this current environment, but the limitations now have been sort of diminished a little bit with virtual training. So now we are making adjustments, right? We're getting ourselves ready. We're looking at potentials of using larger classrooms still being within the spectrum of the COVID environment, if you will, but we can take advantage of our larger classrooms, which means we can add more students and still keep them safe. Secondly, we can increase our virtual seats, if you will. So now that we unleash our ability to deliver virtual training, how many more seats can we add out there without reducing the quality of the training? And then lastly, we've always been able to add night classes. So those things are starting to come back now. And so we're looking at those 3 different areas as a way to try and increase throughput.
For those of you that aren't familiar with PLAN, this is a strategic initiative that we're working on right now that's providing a level of some tools and technology to help us re-engineer the process for quota management. What we're wanting to do is to get to where we don't have a one-time call for training. This is really going to result in a streamlined process for the quota management and the call for training, and make things where it's just a lot less.
Our initial focus was on the largest backlog with the training requests and the highest potential impact to the NAS. So at the time, the highest impact was our ILS training, the Mark 1 DENF and the Mark 20/20A ILS. Those both had a backlog that could take a technician 3 to 5 years to be able to get a seat, which does not help the field in any way.
We did get close to 40 Mark 1 students through and between 40 and 50 Mark 20 students. So for those SSCs, I'm sure that was a welcome bit of training for them. So we're doing what we can, and we'll continue to do as much as we can in the future.
Just having the diversity of the locations really helped us out, especially during COVID. We're able to partner with the PMO. So the PMO is one of those unsung heroes that helped us establish some of these labs because they had equipment that was earmarked for installation, but it was further down the line where they said, you know what, you guys can actually borrow this. So we're going to continue working with the PMO to see, if we can have additional equipment to help us just temporarily to get through and get your training needs met.
In AJI, whenever there's any sort of a big project, we look for Article 13 and subject matter expert openings. We look to the field because the field is going to be the biggest informational bank that we can access.
Jeff Planty asked me to check into if the military could help us with some of our, to bridge that gap, to help with the backlog. So I reached out to the Navy base in Pensacola, the training center there, and we worked out an agreement to have the ETVS course taught by the Navy. We're using the Navy curriculum. It has been assessed and evaluated. And next Thursday is our first course start.
It's a big benefit for us to make sure that those common systems, those systems that all other businesses deal with, where manufacturer training is available, that we use those. We've looked at out-of-agency training, manufacturer type, for a little while now, and we are currently executing on a few things. You'll see up in the top left corner.
It's taken a lot of smart, dedicated people working together to get us to where we are today. The collaboration among tech training, the academy, air traffic, and tech ops, and many others has been remarkable.
One of the things I wanted to acknowledge is it's not always been easy. Some of these conversations have been really tough, but I think that those tough conversations have made us a lot stronger and made the relationship stronger.
We need to find a different way to do training. You've set us on such a good course path, no pun intended, path for really converting training, looking at different ways to deliver training. And I think that technology that we've been using over the last 14 months will continue to be enhanced, and we'll have more and more opportunities to use that to make the training as real as we can to instructor-led traditional training.